Hello, my name is Arra Derderian, and I'm here to talk about integrating iTwin services and iModels into existing web applications. Thanks for everyone for joining. So a little bit about my company and who we are and myself. I work at a company called Digital Construction Works. We're part of a joint venture between Bentley Systems and Topcon Systems. And our main goal is to drive and accelerate innovation as well as integration in the construction project workspace. So we're out there building integrations between various product sets that you would find on a digital construction project, getting that data together into common data environments for reporting, integration, digital twinning services, a lot of fit-for-purpose automation solutions. And our goal really is to transform the construction industry operations by automating, optimizing, and digitalization of the entire construction process. So I'm the director of the Solutions Integration Lab at TCW, and our primary focus is on these integrations and these reporting tasks that clients want to see. So using iTwin services and Bentley's iModel.js open source offering has been a big part of some of the solutions we provide to clients. In the industry today, some of the challenges we're seeing are interoperability of your data across product sets is challenging and unstable. So building integrations themselves, managing the security there, managing the data refreshing, and keeping that integration live is a tough process. Analytics are immature as well, and oftentimes when the data is sitting in its native product data store, it's not easy for newer technologies like machine learning and AI to take advantage of that data, as well as have it in reporting next to the other products you might find on a project. So those issues in the industry, as well as security of managing project data, and the ability to standardize KPIs across these tool sets are some of the challenges we see today and some of the things we're trying to solve for. So we've built out what we call our DCW integrations platform to solve this. And a lot of times on projects, there'll be development work, but it will be ad hoc or it will be one-off, and it's got a very small budget for it. It has to integrate two data sources, and it's really focused around a single task or solution. We're building out our integrations platform as a team of integrators so that we can reuse a lot of these integrations, provide a secure environment for these integrations. They will be repeatable and reused. And then also it's a spot for us to wrap our analytics and digital twinning services around it, as well as our own custom workflows that we believe can really digitize a job site. So if we're looking at the integrations platform as a solution here, you can see on the left the various users of these solutions, executive owners, project managers, researchers, and developers, all consuming the various solutions and dashboards that we build. We have a service layer that is managing all of our data and kind of normalizing it and providing the various offerings up to the experience layer. And at the core is really our integrations, which we do through various methods depending on the product, whether it's a developer token, it's OAuth standards via OIDC, or it could be username and password. There's a variety of products out there that do things differently over the course of time. So we have to support all of that. We use our workflow engine to refresh our data and keep our tool sets up to date. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is how we are using our platform to build in iTwin services and iModels into our existing platform. And you can kind of liken this to your existing web applications if you wanted to do some embedding of a iModel or updating of an iModel, as well as integrating security through Bentley's IMS system. So the solution we built, the DCW platform, is an existing .NET Core web application. It sits on a framework called Orchard Core, which is an open source framework that allows for content management, modular extensibility, and that we can plug in different components and integrations and extend the platform very easily. It also supports OpenID Connect right out of the box. So our ability to tie into Bentley's infrastructure for iTwin services is very simple in that, and I'll show that. The front end of it is built on ASP.NET Razor templates, so a server-side language, as well as React.js for the various iModel viewers, and as our JS application framework. So each one of the widgets you'll see is built in its own isolation boundary. So for the viewers, it's React.js because that's a lot of the examples for iModel, but we also use other tools like Vue.js as well to show the other various components on the page. The three components of the integration I want to talk about is Bentley's IMS solution, registering our application as a third-party application with Bentley, leveraging our OIDC client to allow users to authenticate themselves using identity management, and that gives them access to things like the iModel Hub API to be able to pull iModels in projects, as well as using iTwin Viewer app, which is a sample app in the iModel.js GitHub repo, to be able to view your iModels as well. And you'll notice that in a lot of the samples, there's a OIDC client built into these samples. We're kind of short-circuiting that and using our own authentication module and authenticating on the server side so that when someone logs into our tool, their iModels and their viewers automatically load without the need to challenge them for another token. So we're doing our management at the server side level for authentication. So like I talked about, our identity services with IMS, in our platform, we register as a third-party app, and then we configure our OIDC client to work with IMS. We store this token and refresh it as needed. So if we go over to our platform here, this is the DCW integrations platform, which I was talking about. Here we can log in using local authentication, or we've added a flow for Bentley. So by clicking Bentley's login flow, the user is authenticated here, as you can see, using a Bentley account. We create a local account that's linked to that in our platform. But the nice part of that is that allows us to have our iModel viewer load automatically and not challenge the user again for a username and password. So as you can see, that's loading up here using this basic viewer app, as we call it. This is one of the samples from the GitHub pages. Okay. If we look at how we've embedded this, if I log out here, and I log in as a administrator, we can see that by clicking on Edit Our Dashboard, this is the content management portion of the tool. And we come down to our iModel.js viewer that we've integrated into our backend as a content management component. In here we have the project name and model name that is pulled through the iModel API, but then we also have a viewer type that we can set. And the reasoning behind having different viewer types, which I can show on the front end, we have different use cases. So here we wanted more of a basic viewer to show the model, whereas in our other dashboard where we're building more of a digital twin with a more robust viewer, we went with the iTwin viewer app sample. So there we go. Just a little. There we go. Not great at navigating these models, but there we go. So this has a lot more features in the viewer coming through with the iModel JS application. So we're basically extending that core iTwin viewer app in the samples section of the iModel JS GitHub page. You can find that code and clone it and bring it down and customize it as needed. Because we're logging in as a Bentley user, we're passing a token in to authenticate the user. And we'll need to refresh it in the background as that expires. So in this case, on this dashboard, if we click into the edit page on our platform, we can see our viewer is using iTwin viewer app type. So we have specific use cases, and our plan is to build out a whole amount of use cases around these different viewers, overlay different data through different areas into the iModels on top of them in the viewer, using Bentley's iModel Hub as well as iModel JS as our viewer. Now, the way we're able to set this up is in our tool set. We've registered at developer.bentley.com, our integration platform here with the various redirect URLs for OIDC Connect, and that lets us simply log in here using OpenID Connect. And since my recent authentication is already stored, it's not challenging me again, but I'm able to log right in, and security is integrated right into the platform. So if we come back here, what we've kind of talked about is how to leverage Bentley's IMS service as an identity provider into the platform, which makes your integrations a lot easier down the line as far as interacting with the RESTful API of iModel Hub, getting user information, and wiring up iModel JS viewers by doing it on the server side. Our tool is not a single page app, so for us, doing a web application made sense. We also integrate with iModel Hub using their RESTful APIs to pull a list of projects and iModels to use with our application. And we're refreshing a token in the background as we do that in order to pull the different iModels from our project. So that is all managed over here under APIs at developer.bentley.com, and we can come into administration, and we have these projects API that lets us query our projects in iModel Hub as well as our iModels. So then we can link those up into the viewer that we want to use. So if we dive into our viewer, here, we can see that this is a screenshot of what I had showed you how we embedded things prior. We can extend this viewer with iModel JS extensions, and that's the best way to add the various tools that you see in the viewer, and you can customize it yourself. Secondarily, the general purpose backend is how we're hosting these iModels. So it's free to use, and it's very easy so that you don't need to host your own Node.js server. You just point it to the general purpose backend in your client-side app, and that easily hosts your iModel for you, the server-side piece of it. Currently, it supports a single iModel per page. That's one limitation. I know the team's working on that, as well as we're trying to figure out how we could potentially wrap some of these widgets into iframes to kind of isolate those things as well. And we're supporting multiple viewers, like I told you about. So if we go look at the actual code, what we have here is our Visual Studio 2019 development environment loaded up with our source code for our existing web application, which is our DCW Solutions Integration Platform. if we look under modules, you can see we have a bunch of different modules per product. If we drill into Bentley and we go under www root, which is where we serve our viewers out of, you can see we have the iTwin viewer app in here. This is an output of our build that we've done for the iTwin viewer sample. So let's go take a look at where we got this from. At iModelJS.org, this is a great place to learn about iModel.js, obviously. There's documentation. There's also the ability to view on GitHub. So in the repo under iModel.js, you'll see all the different monorepos here for iModel.js itself, as well as some samples and another sample app called iTwin Viewer. I use this as a starting point for the viewer that we built. This is a good place to start some good samples, as well as you can log issues here to the team, and the Bentley team has been great about getting back to me and helping me solve issues right here. So that's been very helpful. After you clone this repo, you'll get a local directory of it, and you can follow the instructions and build the iTwin Viewer app. The output is a build directory. So you have everything you need to host this viewer that is on the page in this build directory. So if we go back to our project here, you can see we have a viewer here. How do we get this on the page? How do we have all the assets? So from this directory, I copied all of these outputs into my iTwin Viewer app output directory, so I can serve those from my .NET app. And if we look at the index.html, which is the page that the app is hosted in, we can see some various includes in the head, CSS that has been bundled and minified, same thing for JavaScript. So what I did was I basically copied most of these includes and references, and I put them in my Razor template, which is here in my project. So as the server-side rendering is happening in my project, I can check if I'm rendering a basic viewer app or an iTwin viewer app. You would just build different source codes depending on the sample you were using or your own custom apps and copy them into your output directory. And here you can see I'm hosting it out of DCW modules Bentley, which matches here, and a .NET Core convention. This www root directory is the root which will serve those files when it's requested. It's just the .NET Core web server feature. So here, based on the viewer type, as you can see, iTwin Viewer app would get written here, and these are the CSS files in the various folders, like static CSS and static JS down here, where we serve the files that have been compiled. And I can modify the source code. So to have it use my token, to add extensions, to do whatever you want to it, you then build it and copy those assets into your hosting directory and include them into your existing application. So when I'm modifying the actual source code for these samples, or kind of forking them, I tend to use Visual Studio Code as a better editor. It just seems cleaner. If we look at the viewer sample React app, which is the iTwin Viewer one I was just showing you in Visual Studio Code, we can see that there's a source directory here that has all of the code in it. And you can kind of browse that. You could change things in here, do whatever you wanted to do to basically modify this React app. So for me, as you can see here, this app itself has a router in it, so I would take that out because I don't need that in mine. I just want a simple viewer, and I can modify this tool set to work with my code. So it's a good place to start. It's very helpful to get used to iModel.js. I found that to be the best way to do it, and embedding it into an existing app, you're just serving those output assets after you modify. modify it. And you can include it in your own build pipeline. So for example, here we're building our iTwin Viewer app source. We pass it through and through our own gulp pipeline to build these files, and it gets outputted to our WW root with our source code changes, and then we include it in our overall solution. And at the end of the day, it ends up in our application here. So I hope that's been helpful for people to understand kind of how to embed your own iModels, how to leverage Bentley's IMS tools to provide identity to your applications, and then you can also query using the various APIs at developer.bentley.com to pull information about your projects in your iModels. All of the information that you would need for these apps is here on github.com, and you can clone those repos and work on those. So that's been very helpful as well. So if we review here, this was talking about hosting our digital twin in our app using iModel.js. With that, I'd like to say thanks. If anyone has any questions, I believe we have some time to answer those. I'd be happy to answer any of that questions you guys might have. For more information, you can browse over to orchardcore.net, which is a framework for building modular extensible applications on the .NET framework. GitHub's site for iModel.js, and digitalconstructionworks.com. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to help. Reach out to me as we're building these various integrations and integrating it to iTwin services. We'd be happy to help with any projects you may have.